This is Hops and Spirits Bar Conversations. Come for the craft beer, bourbon, whiskey, and great drinks. Stay for the conversations. Here's your host, Jonathan Green.
Welcome into another edition of the Bar Conversations. I hope you struck it with Rich Strike in the Derby. If not, if you didn't hit the big long shot, we got a great episode for you to put you in a better mood as your week goes on. We talk with the up-and-coming country artist Dane Louis, and then for our tasting notes, we talk with 911 Bourbon about how to spot a scam, because you never want those hard-earned dollars, especially if you hit it big with Strike It Rich, to go away. Remember, you can find us on our social media at Hop Spirits, all one word, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. We're also on YouTube and at hopspirits.com. But let's not waste any more time. Let's get into a fun episode.
It's almost time. Where did I put those? Here they are. It's time for tasting notes.
Joining us once again for a tasting notes is 911 Bourbon, whose real name is Mikey. Mikey, welcome in.
Hey, I appreciate being here again. It's always a pleasure.
Well, I appreciate you taking time to pass along some good knowledge. It was on our first chat. It was really great to just kind of get to know who you are, how you got into this, and just a little bit about what 911 Bourbon is. And for those that may have missed that, what is 911 Bourbon? What can they find when they find you on Instagram?
Sure. So whenever you look at my page there on Instagram, Facebook, working on the TikTok now. But yeah,
Fancy.
yeah, trying to. No, but essentially, like whenever you come to my page, this is going to be just information for people to use whatever I put out to essentially protect themselves and protect their followers from being scammed by these people who are on social media who are trying to steal your heart.
I was going to say, I mean, when people are trying to kind of see that, obviously, if they go to your page, they can kind of get an idea of what's out there in terms of the scammers and so forth. But when they're just scrolling through Instagram, or maybe they get this random DM in their inbox, what can they look for as a scam? Like, what should be some red flags right off the bat?
Sure, absolutely. So I'll say this is always my number one rule, is don't buy anything from someone you don't know off of social media. It's always going to be a bad decision unless you just get incredibly lucky, and more times than not, if it's too good to be true. Yeah. So, but essentially, people who are unsoliciting, sending you a DM saying, "Hey, look, I got these bottles," and typically, what these scammers will do, what I've noticed over time, is they'll send a very lengthy description of what they have for sale, right? And so like they'll say like, oh, okay, Blanton's is 120, and they'll say like Blanton's single barrel 120, but a Pappy 10 years is only like $80, right? So like we know like just from valuations, even in like your local bourbon groups and stuff like that, those are not correct.
As much as we wish, those are not correct.
Right. This is not the early 2000s where you can actually buy these things off the shelf and just walk around. But essentially, I'll say this, like I was terrible with like English and grammar, but I think we all have like this way of knowing like, how to like use a comma appropriately or use a period appropriately, stuff like that. And just the wording just most of the time seems awkward with these people. It's hard to like just pull one off the top of my head. It's like, look for Wellers to give you good life, kind of just random wording. So I'll just typically stay away from those. But yeah, like anytime that anyone's approaching you saying that they're going to sell you these whiskey and bourbons, nah, I wouldn't go for
it. That is how you keep your money good and in your wallet and not to theirs. And I feel like too, obviously some people they're just maybe not thinking they've had a long day. They're scrolling through, and maybe they just see a post from someone that maybe did follow them, or they followed them back, and when you're looking at those pictures and stuff, is there a good way that people can go, okay, that might be kind of sketchy or a scam? I mean, what are some things to maybe at least look out and go, hey, maybe I should look closer into their account before I do anything?
Sure. So essentially, there's this kind of trend where they'll just post an infinite amount of posts within like 2 hours, right? And so say like they've got 80 posts, but the first one was, at 9:00 a.m. that day. No, stay away from that. But also like their captions to be like, like DM for bottles, hit me up. I got the store goods, like whatever. I accept Bitcoin, or I'll take Cash App or something like that. And no store that I know of is going to be asking you for those kinds of information. They want those original people that sell. So yeah, but yeah, just looking out for those kind of newer accounts, I think, and then just looking at the pictures to see if there's like any kind of indicator that it belongs to someone else, whether that's like a watermark or something like
Well, I was gonna say too, and I feel like they're getting a little more creative because there for a while they would just post bottle pictures and that would it. But now if you look at some of them, they do have pictures of people. Although, like you said, if you scroll maybe far enough back, you might see a whole different person. So, I mean, what are you seeing more of that kind of stuff too, and issues there?
Absolutely. And I think this is kind of becoming a systems wide issue, if you will, because essentially the way that I understand that this new scam is working is that someone's going to be sending you a message on Instagram with a link, and they're like, hey, look, I got locked out of my account. Can I have Instagram send you this link to verify that, like, so it's very weird how it's done. And I don't really understand it completely, but essentially, they're sending you this link, and if you open that link, it gives them access to your account, and then they just completely like just take over. So then, they'll start stealing your personal pictures and uploading them then, or changing the handle, changing your password. You can't have access to that. But some other times they'll look for just random, Jon Snow out here, and will steal all of his pictures of him and his family and stuff, and appear to be an actual individual within the community. But again, like I said, a lot of those are kind of done very quickly. They're about, posted 2 hours ago, and then you'll just see like a plethora of posts going on there. So yeah, just take your time. Whiskey and bourbon's always going to be there. Um, but yeah, kind of vet who you're looking at. So.
Well, Mikey, I appreciate it as always, and you can find him at 911 Bourbon on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok too. I appreciate it, Mikey.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Remember to check out Hops and Spirits on social media at Hop Spirits, all one word, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also find Hops and Spirits on YouTube and at hopspirits.com.
Joining us here on the Bar Conversations is country singer-songwriter Dane Louis. Dane, welcome in.
How's it going, John? How you doing tonight?
I'm good. I got a drink in front of me, so I cannot complain. Cool temps. I mean, you got anything good?
Yeah, just a Miller Lite tonight. My guitar player during set crap, so that was all I had left in my fridge tonight. So.
Did you do a little work on the fridge then, I guess, over the weekend? Had a little too much fun, or just got a little low?
We were in the studio all week last week, and it kind of warranted tapping into a couple cases pretty good. So we got her done, but.
Well, so I've got a little whiskey. I got a little Rabbit Hole, little bourbon, little straight bourbon. I don't know what this one's finished in because they do some fun stuff like that, but figured I'd grab that real quick as I haven't opened that one in a little bit. Are you? We're going to be talking about a song here called "Whiskey Wears Off" in a little bit. Are you a whiskey guy too, or or just beer only?
I'm pretty good about spreading my wings when it comes to my alcoholism. I'm a big Jameson guy. Lately, I've been really on a big Jameson orange kick. They just started coming out with that about a month or two ago, I think, and so Jameson orange and Sprite has been my go-to as of late. But
there you go, branching out a little bit. I was going to ask you before you said that, have you had the orange? Because I've seen several people having it. Because I'm guessing it's good.
It's really good. I didn't expect it to be, and I think that's probably why it's good. I thought it was going to suck, and then it was great. So.
There you go. Now, I love this show. One, because I get to talk to folks like yourself, but two, it's called Bar Conversations. So the whole goal is to have some fun conversations. And I was scrolling through your social media, and I believe the photographer who did your photo shoot posted I think it was like a memory type thing of remember that one time when we got hit up for like $100 at a parking lot.
Yep.
So I figured, what better way to start talking about you and your music than to talk about your photo shoot that you got hit up in a parking lot.
Oh, dude, so great. So our photographer back home in Iowa, Britton Hackey, he's amazing. He does awesome work. And he shot this, like, it was kind of a snowy scene of this old motel. And I was like, dude, that's awesome. We should have band pictures in front of that. He's like, yeah, that sounds great. So we show up there, and Britain always tends to check with people like before we go to places and make sure that everything's clear and good to go. But I don't, for whatever reason, someone wasn't there or whatever that he couldn't check with, and he said, we'll be fine. We'll go do it. And then this guy comes out, asked, he spoke very broken English, and he was kind of asking what we were doing, and he didn't really understand. Well, then he calls his boss, and his boss was saying, like, well, do they want to rent a room? And it's like, this is kind of one of those motels where it's more like pay by the hour than pay by the night. And
so it may not be a 5-star hotel.
Less than, yeah. I wouldn't have liked to sit on the bed in a hazmat suit, but I won't say the name of it or where it's located. But anyways, so the owner of the establishment gets on the line, and he goes, well, do you want to rent a room? I said, do I need to rent a room? Like, I said, we're just taking pictures for our band. He goes, well, he goes, I can rent you a room. And I said, well, I'll rent a room. Okay, what is it? And he's like, $100 and it'll be okay. And I was like, $100 for this hole? Like, come on, man. Like, whatever. I said, fine. So I just threw the dude a Benjamin, but I was like, all right, well, if I'm going to pay this guy $100. After that, the front desk clerk guy was like our best friend. He got a couple pictures with us and stuff like that. He thought it was the coolest thing. This rock and roll band is taking pictures outside the hotel. And funny. So he's like, anything else I can do for you guys? And we're like, you got a ladder? And he goes, yeah. I'm like, cool, we're getting on that roof. So we hopped up on the roof and took a bunch of pictures in front of the motel sign. And my buddy that was with us, he just came and tagged along for the photo shoot. He grabbed a case of beer and a bunch of cigars and stuff like that. So you see my bass player. My bass player had a cigar and a beer in like a lot of the pictures and stuff, and we were all just kind of pounding around. But it turned out to be a really, really good photo shoot, and it was the most fun I'd ever had on a photo shoot. But yeah, it was kind of a goofy deal to get going there. And Britain's like, I'm so sorry, I didn't expect for you to get shook down for $100. Like, whatever, man. Like.
I was gonna say, you got a good story to tell, and you got some really cool pictures. Because, like I said, those are a lot of the pictures that you use for your promotional stuff. I mean, like those continue to get used.
Yep, no, they worked. So we'll keep them as long as we can. So.
Well, you gotta love how some things happen, and there's always stories behind. I feel like everything, and I also saw where you've got a couple tattoos. I think you got some music related tattoos and different things. So. What goes into that for you? And I mean, you got meaning behind a lot of those, or just spur of the moment type deals, or what?
Sure. My running joke is everyone goes, "What do your tattoos mean?" I'm like, it means I had about $600 laying around at one point in time. But no, I got
because they're not small. They're not small.
No, and if you get good ones, they're not cheap. Hopefully, but no, I got this guitar on the inside of my arm here, and the lyrics in it say, "Funny how a melody sounds like a memory." So that's from Springsteen by Eric Church, and I just like that line because that's kind of what a lot of musicians kind of strive to have, make memories out of their shows. And then I got one of my more recent ones. I got a quill pen on my right hand because I'm a writer, and that's about all it means. I kind of got like a Second Amendment / Bill of Rights kind of thing on my upper arm there, just because. I think we really need to hinge on keeping whatever rights we got, because once you get one taken away, and all of them are no good, from freedom of speech to anything. So that, and I got a tattoo from my buddy that's passed away on my back. I got the state of Iowa outlined over my heart, and a star on my hometown, Sergeant Bluff, Iowa, and then I call my right leg my F off leg. I got a tattoo, a little tiny guitar pick with two of my friends' initials in it on my thigh, and then I got a weird little skull thing that I got that in Phoenix, Arizona, and I got a weird little skull thing on the back of my calf in Hawaii. So I was like, well, as I tour, I'm just gonna get like a different tattoo from a different state all over my leg. So.
So that therefore just F it, and whatever ends up happening on that leg happens.
Yep, exactly. I was like, I wear jeans all the time anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Until that one day you're on the beach and someone goes, "What in the
like,
world happened?"
Tacky crap on your leg. And it's like, well.
Well, you talk about Iowa. I know you just recently moved from Iowa to Nashville. How's that going?
Yes, sir. Last week, well, let's see. Now, I guess it'd be about a week and a half ago. It went great. The drive never really gets shorter. But I had some friends with me this time. This is about 12 hours from my hometown in Iowa to Nashville, and got out here about 10 o'clock at night and dropped a couch and a mattress, passed out. And next day we got up, tried to get some different stuff and kind of organize ourselves a little bit for the next 2 days. And then the whole following week we were in the studio from like 10 to 6. And so then we get out, and then everyone wanted to go drink or go. We went and caught a Predators game and did all kinds of different stuff. So it's been pretty hectic. I got my washer and dryer the initial weekend that I got here, but my dryer plug was like shorting out. So the electrician came today, so I haven't had a dryer since I've been here. So I finally got to do laundry today. I was stoked about that.
I was gonna say, were you running out? I mean, I feel like that's a long time to go.
I was just, a week and a half was pushing it. I mean, I think I probably could have made it about 3 or 4 more days before I would have had to start recycling underwear or something like that. But
just make a trip to Target,
Yeah.
just get the essentials. Now I know. I think obviously leaving home is always tough, but I also saw where your companion Otis. You couldn't bring him just because, lifestyle is not exactly the best for that. Can you talk a little bit about him and just kind of what he means? And I'm sure that had to be tough.
Yeah, man. I got a Bernese Mountain Dog back last February 21, and I was living with some friends of mine, and they had a dog that had really bad separation anxiety. So they were looking to get another dog, and basically, so I was like, well, I said, I love these Bernese Mountain Dogs. A friend of mine, my tour manager, Missy, has one. Or has 2 of them, and so she's awesome and loves these dogs are great, and like her dog Abe is like the smartest dog I've ever met in my life. I want one of these dogs. Well, I must have got the discount rack end cap dog because my like a crackhead, but he's hilarious. I love that dog so much. And so anyways, in the event that I wasn't going to be able to keep him, my friends were going to keep him. And then it would help with their dog Bear. But then we lost my dad to COVID in November, and my mom, I'm an only child, so my mom was by herself. So I was like, well, this kind of works out well, that she could take Otis and have someone to come home to and kind of someone to watch out at the farm and stuff like that. And just with the lifestyle out here, being gone on the weekends and, when you are home, you're still kind of running all over God's country. It wasn't fair to him to be sitting at home or stuck in any sort of a kennel all day. So I thought that'd be the best move for him, and he's doing super well with Mom. So,
and are you doing okay?
No, I'm emotionally scarred and absolutely puking and throwing up every night. But no, puking and crying.
Well, I was gonna say it gives you a good reason to go home, an extra reason besides to see Mom to go see Otis now.
There you go, exactly. That's what I told her too when I left. She's like, well, as much as you miss that fur ball, I'm gonna miss you. And I was laughing. I was like, well, now I have to come home. I have to see my son. But so no, it's good, man. He's super happy. He's got a farm to run around on, and like I said, it's the best thing for him right now. And then if I buy a house here or something like that in a couple of years, and God forbid get married or something like that, then someone will be home to watch out for him. That'd be all right. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say lifestyle can be tough when you're kind of getting everything moving in this business of music and everything that can just go so crazy with that. You talk about growing up in Iowa. I mean, you've got the state tattooed. I mean, how big of an impact did Iowa have on you, or influence you as far as music and just life in general?
Honestly, man, Iowa was. I look at it a lot as I couldn't have picked a better place to grow up and. Kind of go to the school of hard knocks and a place to get really good values. Because, I mean, growing up, my dad and I farmed my whole life. So, I mean, between that and growing up with people that, I don't know how to describe it other than just it's super down home. Everybody's willing to help everybody, willing to lend a hand. And They always call it Iowa nice because, just simple things here and Nashville's like a big small town too. Not to knock Nashville on being polite or anything like that, but it's just kind of funny. People be like, "Why are you willing to do that?" And I was like, "Well, I'll give you a ride, dude. I mean, that's fine or whatever." Just kind of simple stuff like that. And yeah. So Iowa was a really great place to just be down home and get really good values and set me on my way. Especially, you can suffer all 4 seasons in a day. So really,
I understand that. I understand that in Kentucky. We had that like 2 weeks ago. It was
yeah.
wild.
Snow, and then it's 70 by the afternoon, and then a thunderstorm that night, and it's like goodness. So I mean, it prepares you also for going on the road and being in different climates and stuff like that too. So.
Well, I mean, I was gonna say, I mean, growing up on a farm, I mean, like, if you're singing about that, like, some people they don't know it, but you actually put in the work on the farm.
Yeah, man. No, it's. I always like to pride myself on the fact that most all my songs are actually from personal stories and real things that I've done and things that I've lived. There's literally 2 or 3 of them I think that are just fabricated stories that I made up that I just thought sounded good. But for the most part, yeah, it's all true stories, and that was really formative. With I listened to a lot of like classic rock and stuff like that growing up, and but on Sundays they'd play football on the rock stations, so I'd listen to these country songs. Man, this actually kind of lines up to my life a lot. So I started kind of getting into country and writing that kind of music, and it's just I love the storytelling aspect of all of it. So I had plenty of fuel for the fire growing up where I did.
Well, I mean, I was gonna say, I mean, what were some of the things that you grew up with? I mean, as far as influences and music. I mean, you mentioned the rock and then obviously country a little bit. I mean, any of them that stood out to you that just have always stuck with you, or just kind of, I joke a lot of times you throw a whole bunch of things in the blender and that's just kind of how it works and comes out.
Yeah, absolutely. Basically, my dad was a Tom Petty fanatic. So when we would get done listening to one side of the Tom Petty tape, we could flip it over and listen to the other side. And when that got rewound, guess what? Front side's ready all over again. No, so that was a big part. Tom Petty was huge when I was growing up. That was just what we listened to all the time. Bob Seger, John Mellencamp, his Scarecrow album. I burnt the CD out, because it's like this is exactly what my life's like. So a lot of those like kind of heartland rock style. I mean, I know Tom's from Florida, but Bob's from Michigan and John's from Indiana. So it's like they're all kind of from the same wheelhouse of folks and just values and ways that I grew up. And so yeah, a lot of that, a lot of healthy dose of that. Some Zeppelin, all different kinds of stuff. But I really base my music and my style a lot off Mellencamp and Bob Seger and Tom Petty a lot. That's kind of where I got my basis for storytelling and energy for shows, I guess.
Well, I mean, those aren't very, those are pretty good ones to pull from if you're going to pull from.
I can't go wrong if I try this. So,
absolutely not. Now, for those that get to come out and listen to you, I mean, how would you describe your style of music? I know that's always a kind of unfair question to ask, because it's you got to be, it's who you are and what you do. But I mean, what can people expect when they see you play and hear a song from you?
Sure. I always bring this question back to more rather than kind of describing a sound. And it's a lot easier to assimilate to like certain artists, but my goal when I go into every show is I want to make somebody laugh, I want to make them cry, and I want to make them buy drinks because that makes the venue a lot of money. So basically, I don't know. I kind of take everybody on a ride and try to be not that we don't identify with one sort of style, but I want to be palatable for everybody too. We have slow ballad songs that we just got out of the studio, like I said, that have just kind of like a lap steel sound to it. We have other songs that are just absolutely overloaded that should probably be on Octane or something like that. They're really hard rock songs, and those are a lot of our favorites. But we want to put on a rock and roll show that tells a story, I guess, and that's kind of what I feel like a lot of rock bands and stuff like that are kind of fading from nowadays. It's just kind of all theatrics versus telling a true story and giving someone something to chew on. So that's kind of what you can expect at our shows. It's a rock band that wears cowboy boots, pretty much.
Hey, I like that. I like the sound, and I'm going to get to the single here in a second. But you talk about having fun, making people laugh. I had to laugh when I saw my favorite shirt ever, the country band with OnlyFans shirt, and you actually have a. And to make sure that that was real, you actually have an OnlyFans page. So what happens on that OnlyFans page?
$5.99 a month, and you can find out, John. No, it's so it was so funny. So we came up. There's this country singer named Paul Coffin, who's and he has a T-shirt that says "Country Band with Contraband." So me and my band guys had a joke because, like in 2020, everybody it seemed like got an OnlyFans and a TikTok. So my bass player Briar was like, "We should be country band with OnlyFans," and I was like, we just laughed our ass off about it. So I looked at it was like, well, I hopped on the merch site and started like kind of mocking some stuff up. And then, so I just made the T-shirt. Well, then my publicist, she told me, she's like, well, we need to start a fan club so you can start like a Patreon or something like that. And I was like, huh. Like, can we do an OnlyFans? And she's like, kind of taken aback a little bit. And I was like, no, not like a hey, look at me OnlyFans. I was like, can we do just for fan club? So like when you join the my OnlyFans, you get a merch discount, a 15% off merch discount on the merch store for your whole order. In addition to that, like I said, we just got done with a new record. So my plan is to release all the songs onto my OnlyFans a week before we actually release the record. So give everybody a chance to really chew on everything and kind of show some different pictures that we're not going to be. This sounds weird, but
I was going to say, are they tasteful? Are they tasteful?
No, pictures that we're not posted on Instagram and stuff like that. Just kind of behind the scenes stuff that you're not going to get anywhere else. And yeah, and then there's also like a lot of very good tasteful photoshops. Like I think a couple Mondays ago I posted like my head photoshopped on a Burt Reynolds naked laying on a bearskin rug or whatever. My made that. He's like, yeah, check this out. Try that for your OnlyFans. And I was like, oh, cool. That's the post today. So, yeah, no, I thought that was a hilarious. We got some new merch options coming out pretty soon that are gonna allude to that too. But and then I on all my guitar picks it shows I have a QR code on the back that leads to my link tree that has my OnlyFans at the top. So I don't know. It's kind of a take it or leave it joke for a lot of people, but I think it's kind of a funny thing that a lot of people.
I love it. And what's funny is that's kind of what OnlyFans was supposed to kind of be when it started.
Yeah, before it became porn. Yeah, it was
and then they were so shocked it happened. And
yeah,
but I
don't know. Your own, but yeah, that's what it was actually intended for. And I have friends that give guitar lessons on OnlyFans. Well, they did until their parents wanted to quit paying for it for the kids that they were sending to them. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a funny thing overall, but yeah, I used it for the actual intent and purpose. And I don't know. The other thing I thought about was I was like, well, if someone really wants to know if I'm doing this, at least they'll pay the $5 a month, and maybe they'll enjoy it while they're there and stay with it. So.
I love that, and you can tell you just have fun. You guys have a good time, and
you have to.
And I mean, is that? I'm guessing that's just your personality in general. Have fun, put on, like you said, put on a good show, just have a good time. I mean, is there anything different than that?
No, not really. I mean, and that's a lot of like what I tell everybody for my on stage persona and my off stage persona. I think my off stage persona might not be as affluent to who I actually am as much as on stage, because it's kind of funny on stage. Like, I mean, I'll tell jokes and just point at people in the crowd and pick people and stuff like that, and it's fun. But when you get off stage and you kind of get swarmed a little bit, then I'll just kind of get overwhelmed and kind of, oh, hi, thank you very much. But yeah, no, I think if you're a real human on stage versus someone that's kind of really scripted and everything like that, people can relate to it a lot more. So I always just try to carry that MO with me everywhere I go.
Well, I was gonna say, I think people can also relate to your I guess debut lead single that's out on Spotify and everything. Whiskey Wears Off. I mean, what does that song mean to you, and how did you come up with that one?
True story. So I don't know. It basically, I was going home one morning from somewhere I shouldn't have been, and I had used that line the night prior. Like I said, the story's all in the song, and um, it's kind of funny. And I was driving home the next morning really early, and I was like, "Might not love you when the whiskey wears off." I was like, "That's a pretty good one." And I was like, "That's the song lyric is what that is." So I went home and like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and snuck in. And I mean, I lived there, but my roommate, I didn't want to wake her up. And then her dog came out, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Okay, oh, cool." So we went in the room, and me and Abe sat down and wrote "Whiskey Wears Off." It was pretty funny. So, but yeah, it just poured out in about 5 minutes, and I just recounted the evening as exactly as it happened. And yeah, so I don't know. It's a true thing that a lot of people. I don't know if they want to just put themselves on a pedestal and act like they're above uh, basic human emotions of I might not be in love with somebody after the deed or something like that. But it's a cold hard truth song. It's just something that a lot of people feel but don't want to talk about. And I don't know. I'm an open book on that kind of stuff. Like I joke about stuff that you shouldn't joke about. So it,
I mean, you have an OnlyFans page.
yeah,
What can we expect?
I might not love you when the whiskey wears off. Like I think it's kind of funny, honestly. So it worked. A lot of people like it, so we're running with it.
Well, I mean, it's a great song, and I mean, is it weird sometimes? Because I've asked this to a few others. Is it weird when you actually legitimately put your story in there? It's one thing when it's kind of an idea or maybe part of a story, and then you build a story around it and so forth. But is it kind of weird to do that, or is that just part of the process, and that's just how it works for you?
I haven't really thought about it like that, but that's a very good point. I always say like I have the best job in the world because I get to write my problems down and complain about them and get paid for it. But
Yeah.
I guess to that point, yeah, it's a little weird sometimes. Being in Nashville, it's not as crazy now. But like when you're in a small town and you're writing about songs about people in a small town and they saw you with that person 2 months ago and they're like, I know who that's about. Like it changes the dynamic a little bit, and especially like when you see them and they're like giving you dirty looks, like I know you Taylor Swift in my ass. So like,
So
but
you got to be careful.
here and there. So
Well, when you are writing, I mean, does the inspiration always come from, say, something in real life, whether it's you or someone else, or is it just maybe, like you said, even joking on a shirt, like just kind of collaboration, spitballing things, and an idea pops in?
a lot of times it comes from a real life experience. However, we'll embellish a lot on a lot of things. But for example, a song we have coming out on the new record that we're working on is called Old Ford. And my guitar player and I were just sitting in a bar one night, and he goes, "Dude, it'd be great if we told a story about like this kid getting his first car, like have it be like a Mustang." And then he gets a little older, buys a pickup, gets into construction, doing the workforce, which is exactly how my life went. I bought a Mustang when I was in high school, and it wasn't a '68 like the song has, but it was an '08. But and then bought a pickup, and then like as he gets a little older, meets his wife, and then he has to trade the truck in on an SUV. But at the end of the song, he gives the car back gives the car to his kid when his kid turns 16. So I don't know. I thought that was a really cool kind of magical story about things, and so yeah, sometimes, but those tend to take a lot longer because you want to make sure all the logistics line up. Versus with the personal experience stories, usually they fall out of you in about 5 minutes. So it's a little bit of both, but personally, I enjoy the personal stories more. I don't know why. I like telling the true stories and having someone go like, "Did that actually happen?" It's like, yeah, no, life's weird. So
Well, I mean, some of the best things that you can tell they come from real life experiences, and you kind of touched on it too. I mean, I'm guessing some more music's coming, album coming. I mean, what can you say on the record that won't get you in trouble?
on the record, I can say we have new music coming in 2022. So that's in what capacity or what quantity rather. Can't really divulge yet because I don't know all the details and all the plans that the powers that be have yet. But I can definitely say we got some new music coming. It'll probably get led with a single, and then more later. So
I like it. That's a good tease. That's a good tease. Now, I know in Iowa and in other places you've gotten to open for some pretty good names and play for some big names. I mean, from Joe Diffie to Billy Currington and even Ashley McBride. I mean, what do you take from those type of experiences?
Sometimes good memories, sometimes bad memories. I'll leave it there. But man, some of those folks, like Ashley, man, playing with her was so amazing because she was just down to earth as hell. I mean, there's no ego in that girl at all. And we were sitting back there, and she was telling us how she lost her publishing deal the same day that she won a CMA award for New Artist of the Year or something like that. And I was like, man, that's so good to hear. That's so refreshing just to like see, even people that are making it struggling and or hearing that they had to struggle too. It kind of brings it to a real level. Basically, I think it's a professionalism is more or less what you take away from that. Because once you've been in that circuit and played with those people, you tend to carry yourself a little bit different because you watch what you say around a lot of people. Because you don't know, maybe their tour manager also manages 5 other people, or they might have record company people there, and not even that you have to be on your best behavior, but I think it puts you into a different tier that makes you respect yourself a little more too. Like I'm actually doing this. I'm playing with the people that are the big people. And so yeah, I think that my biggest takeaway for all that is just um, having an appreciation for what we do even more.
Well, and then I also saw where a show that I know you did a lot there. Every year you play Pets for Vets. You also play some other different types of things like that. Why are things like that so important to you and the stuff that you keep doing?
Man, it's so crazy. I started playing that fundraiser. Partners for Patriots is the fundraiser, and they do Dogs for Vets every year. It is the greatest organization, man. I mean, you see some of these vets come in with their dogs, and they train dogs for people that get they'll have blow ups like in public where they lash out in a crowd, and this dog will sense the guy's blood pressure rise, and they don't get him out of there. He'll just start acting like pulling on him just to get him away from a social situation that he might not be able to easily exit. Other people flashbacks in their dreams and stuff like that. And the dog will sense when they're going to have a flashback in the dream or when they're acting out when they're asleep, and will just smother them. And other ones just there to help them stand. And it's so amazing because Cindy Brody's the lady that runs this organization, is her name. And she's out of Anthony, Iowa. And she does this all it's non-for-profit. So they give these dogs, if you know about anything about these service dogs, they can cost anywhere from like $70,000 to $150,000 for this dog. She has these puppy raisers. They raise the puppies and bring them to training and all that stuff for about 9 months. Then afterwards, these puppy raisers give them away back to the organization because each dog is specifically trained for a specific task for a veteran. And then they do that so that they don't gain an attachment over a service. So they give it back. They give it back to the organization. Dog goes to the vet, and they give it to the vet completely free of charge. I mean, there's absolutely no red tape with anything. They want to help veterans, and the more funding they get, the more volunteers they get, the more they can do, the more dogs they can train, and the more veterans they can help. And man, I don't think there is a larger group of people that have given so much of their lives for the place that we live that are more disparaged. In the sense of, you have guys that were in roadside bombs in Iraq and Afghanistan and in the early 2000s and early teens and they come home and they can't get a job because they can't go out and do social things and anything like that. And no one wants to help. No one cares. The VA doesn't care. So it's up to organizations like these to help these people that have given so much. And my heart just goes out to all those folks. I always try to do as much with the vets as I can because I respect the hell out of them. And I think it's the greatest fundraiser that I've ever seen, and I've been personally impacted to be able to play this for so many years. And it's an honor. And she always laughs with me, Cindy does, because I'm like, well, we'll come back every year. And she goes, oh, yeah, you're moving to Nashville. You're going to go do the big touring thing. And, we'll see if you have the time. And I'm like, no, I really am making it a prerogative to make time for this organization because I love them. I love everybody involved, and I love all the people that they've helped. And I can't wait to meet the people that they're going to help in the future.
That is awesome to hear, and that is just an amazing organization, and it's always there's just something about being able to give back when you can, and I love to hear that. And if you want to, and I'm almost done here, but DaneLouisOfficial.com, follow him on social media, find him on OnlyFans, just to see what he has. And I guess my last question for you, Dane, is anything else folks can expect from you this year? I mean, that you're allowed to say or tease.
Yeah, songs and show announcements, man. We're working on some really cool stuff. We're working with some really great people. This record that we've been working on, and I'll say record, because that can be any length, but these songs that we've been able to kind of crank out the last couple of weeks are the best that we've ever done. I mean, it's far beyond anything we've ever. A lot of people know, I released some underground stuff a couple of years ago. A lot of the older fans know, and I've since removed that, and Whiskey Wears Off's been the flagship since then. But these songs that are going to be coming out, I think people are really going to be taken aback if they've been a fan so far, and if they're a future fan, it should be pretty easy to hop on the bus with songs like these. And we got some really cool shows coming up this summer that I'm super excited to play. And we're going to find out really soon what the plan is for the coming years. So hopefully everything goes well in the next couple of weeks. Some different meetings that we got, and we'll see where it all goes, man. Stay tuned.
Well, I can't wait to see what the future has for you, because I've enjoyed Whiskey Wears Off. I'm excited to see the rest, and like I said, follow him on social media, DaneLouisOfficial.com to keep up with all the latest info. And Dane, dude, this was a blast.
Thanks, Jonathan. Appreciate you, man. Have a good one, man.